cold water is like blowing up, dude. Like Wim Hof is exploding, and there's very few manufacturers out there. Honestly, like you look at it now, it's like this industry is going to continue to grow. I mean, having cold water at your house is an incredible resource. You have people like Tony Robbins, now Joe Rogan has one. Like any entrepreneur who has, to me, any sense is going to be getting in cold water every morning. Like it's just a no-brainer once you try it.
Today on the channel, I am interviewing Michael and Ryan, the co-founders of TheColdPlunge. When COVID hit back in March of 2020, they both had to close their businesses. Now, instead of feeling sorry for themselves, they actually started a cold plunge business, and in the last 12 months, they've sold over $3.5 million worth of them and have customers like Rich Roll, Aubrey Marcus, Tony Hawk, and me. So how did they go from nearly bankrupt to almost $500,000 a month? We're gonna find out in today's video. Let's dive in. What were you guys doing before you started TheColdPlunge, and how did you come up with the idea?
So both of us are float therapy, sensory deprivation tank center owners. I have two here in the Sacramento region, and then COVID-19 hit the planet. And that was a big, for us, being in California, shut the businesses down. You know, Mike was in a very similar situation.
And yeah, I'm in the Bay Area. I have 3 locations, so even more so in the Bay Area. We were closed for even longer. Yeah, but our kind of jump, our leap from the 9 to 5 was probably, I was like 7 years ago, 6 or something like that. So we'd already kind of made that leap, had things going on, and then got this break, right? Like my first true vacation. You know, I'd gone to Burning Man, stuff like that off the grid, but to have like our stores literally closed for months was devastating, but also after getting over the emotional, like, holy shit, like this is terrifying, like getting into the space of like, okay, what opportunity is here, right? I started looking into cold plunges, and everything was 9,000 and up, and started building prototypes with my dad in Arizona. And that's kind of the origin of everything.
One thing that's interesting is like how limitation kind of actually creates creativity, but we're like, we need more money, we need more time, we need a co-founder. So, Mike, how did you actually identify the idea?
So, yeah, I just started basically looking what's out there. And then I had someone who came to Burning Man with Cold Plunge, the Morosco folks, who were making cold plunges. I had a call with them, and they actually invited me down to Arizona to see what they were doing, and went with my dad. And it was quickly like, these guys are selling these things, and they had their own unique design. It's very different than what we do.
I think what's interesting, just to kind of highlight for the audience that's out there, is just like, what do you already have some understanding or advantage in? And then what is it yourself that has some discrepancy in the market? How did you actually go to you know, prototyping specifically and validating your first sale or your first few sales?
Yeah, so the first 2, I emailed my Float Spa customer list and was just like, hey, I made one, here it is. Like, if anyone wants me to make one for them, they're $3,000. And I had two customers say, yeah, like I'd love one. So I built those 2. And then Ryan came on board, and then we just did a limited run of 20. I was just building them out of my garage at that point.
He had the couple sales come through Reboot. I was like, cool, I'll leverage Capital Float's email list, have really good trust with our customer base. So that was kind of our thoughts. Like, it's Northern California. We don't have to do freight shipping. We can build them out of the garage. We'll run 20, and we can learn about the unit. We'll know exactly where the unit's at. We can go hand deliver them to all these customers and actually have this like hands-on approach to see where it's going. So we did that. We sold 20, and then, you know, website was live.
One big thing early on was we completely owned the search phrase cold plunge. So his buddy knows tech, did the Google thing where you could kind of see, you know, who's owning the search term cold plunge. And it's like no one was there. It was like a barren wasteland. So we did TheColdPlunge.com. Our whole site said cold plunge all over it. And like literally in a month, we were like first page of Google. We didn't even run Google ads until like this year in January. So our organic SEO was nuts for cold plunge. So that was huge. And then once we fired up Google ads, again, we only have a few competitors and our price is half.
I did want you guys to walk me through, you know, in the last 12 months, you sold $3.5 million of cold tubs. Can you guys walk me through some of the marketing strategy, maybe some of the stuff that people wouldn't expect, some of the stuff they would expect to be able to accomplish that?
We understood the power of the internet. If you can connect with 10 people or people of the influencer space, it's going to seem like the whole world's doing this. So we identified 10 people or even more, maybe 20 people that we fit our values, were into this, they walked the walk, they liked cold therapy, all the things. And we're like, if we can get them a unit and get it out to their world, like we are exponential, like we're going to look like a thing. So that was out of the gate. We did a lot of, trade for them representing the brand, and we'd go on the tour and we would get the units in their house, and we'd get the picture with them. And so it was this kind of, it made us look, I think, a lot bigger than we were out of the gate. And it just built this kind of like, whoa, these guys are everywhere. When in reality, it was 10 to 20 people that we had chosen and said, let's go after them.
We did some podcast ads like with some of the people who got the free units. Like Aubrey Marcus has just been incredible with how many discount codes have gone through with him, and he was the first one we did in early November in Austin, and then he introduced us to more people, and then every time we dropped one off, we'd have them do the next one. Like, hey, like, who do you think would like one of these that you want to gift to? And like we kind of get up the chain, and all of a sudden we're like at Tony Hawk's house. You know what I mean? So it's like the reason why Tony Hawk was down to get a cold tub from us is because his good buddy Jason Ellis just got one, and he trusts Jason, and Jason's like, dude, this thing's incredible, like I gotta get you one. If we hit up Tony, you just get a brick wall. So you just kind of keep going up the friend chain. You show up, you're yourself, you're a real person, you're cool with them, they're cool with you, they're getting a free tub. You're not like demanding that they share it a certain amount of times either. Just like, dude, share it however you want to share it. So we're being cool with them, and they kind of.
Can you maybe walk through, because I think a lot of people, including ourselves at AppSumo, are like, hey, we want to work with certain influencers to help promote our products at the end of the day. So what was your approach to Aubrey, and then what was this one-to-one thing you guys did?
The original approach was fascinating. I'm in my sauna, I'm on Instagram, and he's doing a live, getting in his cold plunge.
Chest freezer,
yes. And I literally comment from our account, like, hey, can we upgrade your chest freezer to one of our cold plunges, smiley face? And he literally like 2 minutes later, like comments like, absolutely, like hit me up.
So I hit up Rich Roll's podcast, and that was actually one that hit up just through an email inquiry. Hey, we're interested, trying to learn about podcasts. Didn't know anything about it. It was way more than what we could afford, but struck up a relationship with his team. Fast forward 2 months, we're down at Rich's house, setting him up. And then from there is just, we asked, who do you want to give this to? Obviously the Jason Ellis, Tony Hawk, those are the big ones. Aubrey, his whole network now has a unit in some capacity. And we haven't just done trade. We've done ads for podcasts, or kind of just gotten within the network to see what we can do, see what other deals can be struck up.
Good for you guys, man. I'm super happy for you guys. And it's funny, it reminds me of my days. I used to throw conferences. Everyone wants to be a speaker. No one wants to be an attendee. It's like everyone wants the free cold plunge. Who wants to pay up? But at the same time, this approach is working. Can you guys share maybe a little bit more behind the scenes of how your growth has looked? Jeremy commented changing warehouses, challenges of growth with shipping, employees, and revenue growth. Like maybe the behind the scenes a little bit on the 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, started in the garage. It was challenging, especially for Ryan, because Ryan was trying to help me build cold plunges, and Ryan is just not handy, and had some breakdowns on the garage.
That was probably my most difficult time of the company coming on. It was like so outside my skill set. I'm cutting PVC pipe for Mike, and we're tripping over units, and it's a big insecurity for me. It goes back long years of working with tools and all that stuff. So that we were in the garage. Then one of the 20 units that we bought, we're delivering to his house. I knew he owns bike shops. I knew we needed to get out of the garage. And so he was like, well, I got a back spot on my bike shop you guys can move into. So within a week, we moved our operation to the back of his bike shop, which was not what we thought. We thought we had our own little warehouse. It was actually just these dummy walls with like an opening. So people are buying bikes just looking back at us like, you guys building bathtubs back here? And then we signed a lease on a warehouse, about a 3,000 square foot warehouse.
Yeah, 3,000.
Thought that was going to be home for a little while. That's when we started, employees were being hired and we were kind of growing. Then within 2.5 months there, we were like, what do we got to get out of here. And luckily the commercial facility we were in had the main tenant unit available. It was just like out our door every day. And we were just like, how do we get in there? And it just, 2 doors down. So the move was fairly, it's been comically, like the growth's feels very large and it's been comically in flow.
I was curious the role responsibility. So Mike is the handy dude. Ryan, because I think that's a common issue. Like I have my business partner, he's the quiet tech genius that tells me what to do. And I'm the loud, like seems like I know what I'm doing, but really I'm just listening to him. And so I'm curious how you guys have balanced co-founders and business partners.
It's a really good question. It's kind of been the dance. First off, Mike and I are friends above all else. We've gotten to know each other like the last 6 years. Been through a lot of awesome times and like challenging times together. So I think for me, knowing Mike, I know who he is as a man. And our values are the same. Like we're very clear on what's important to us in life, what we, find important. And so that was always clear. And then the skill sets, we did a charity campaign about 3 years ago through our float center. It's called Float for Maps, where we've got a bunch of float centers around the country to raise money for Maps' stage 3 trials for MDMA. So that was something that was really important to us. And so we came together on that. So we got to learn how each other worked there. We ran these brick and mortars by ourselves, and it's like, oh shit, I actually really like this. And so we're really vocal into what we do and don't like. And then we try and that's been our hiring process. Like, okay, neither of us really like this, and okay, we need to find someone to do this. So that's been involved. We'll learn a lot more about what we do and don't like.
There's things that at certain levels, at certain positions that here's what you should be doing, but you're like, well, I still enjoy that. And then I think it's like, how do you spend a lot of the day in the area you enjoy and the area the company really needs? And so it's great that you guys are, identifying which pieces those are. For everyone watching that wants to start their own business, what do you think they can learn from your story?
Just do it, right? Like that's like number one. Problems come up you're never going to foresee, so you can't think it through. But the key was just like finding a good product market fit and then just jumping.
Mm-hmm. And I've never had a co-founder, so that dynamic's been awesome for us because I was probably a little hesitant to jump our product into the market when we did. And Mike was very much like, we're good, let's go. And if we didn't move with that speed, we wouldn't have capitalized on what's happening right now. And we just knew, but to the point of Mike, like, we were going to figure it out if there was an issue. We would make everyone right into the process. So to your point, it was literally just do it. And it's never going to be perfect to launch. Like that's like every founder always says that. It was kind of my first time in a product world to actually face that and be like, all right, it's never gonna be perfect. You learn by doing it.
I love it. If you like this startup story, you are going to love the story of how Justin Mayers, who used to actually work at AppSumo, started a $100 million bone broth company with just $100. You can see it right up here. And Uncle Noah wants to make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. I love you, and I'll see you out there. Pew, pew.